The evening sky above West End was ablaze with a vibrant tapestry of colors, a masterpiece painted by the hand of nature itself. The horizon was awash in golden and crimson hues, merging seamlessly into the deepening twilight. It was as if the very atmosphere was on fire with anticipation, preparing for something extraordinary, something beyond the realm of ordinary perception. As the last rays of the setting sun kissed the land farewell, a magnificent spectacle unfolded. High above the city, a race was taking place. A race not of engines or wings, but of ancient, mythical dragons. These colossal creatures, their scales glistening with an otherworldly iridescence, arched gracefully through the sky. Their movement was both elegant and formidable, each one a living embodiment of raw power and grace. The dragons darted between the shifting clouds, their serpentine bodies coiling and uncoiling in a fluid dance that defied gravity. The sunlight refracted off their scales, casting a kaleidoscope of colors that painted the sky in dazzling patterns. It was as if the dragons were weaving a tapestry of light, their presence a bridge between the earthly realm and the cosmos. Among this celestial display, a solitary figure stood on the rooftop of an old library, a building as ancient and storied as the legends themselves. Alara, a young woman with a passion for both science and mythology, had climbed to this vantage point in search of inspiration. Her eyes, sharp and inquisitive, were fixed on the horizon where the dragons disappeared into the twilight. To her, this was not merely a flight of fancy, it was a moment charged with significance. Alara's professional life as a scientist was grounded in empirical evidence and rigorous analysis, yet her heart was captivated by the allure of myths and legends. Tonight, as the world prepared to transition from summer to fall, she felt an almost palpable sense of expectation in the air. It was as though the earth itself was murmuring secrets to her, guiding her toward a discovery that lay just beyond the grasp of conventional understanding. In her hand, she clutched a worn notebook, its leather cover cracked with age. This book had been passed down through generations in her family, each page a testament to the curiosity and wonder of her ancestors. The notebook was filled with fragments of a forgotten language, a script said to hold the key to unlocking the deepest mysteries of time and existence. The symbols within were enigmatic, their meaning lost to the ages, but still vivid in their complexity. Alara's fingers traced the intricate patterns on the pages, her mind racing with possibilities. Could the legends be true? She whispered to herself, her voice barely audible above the gentle rustling of the wind. The question lingered in the air, a fragile thread connecting her to the vast tapestry of history and legend that she sought to unravel. As the last traces of daylight faded, the first stars began to pierce the velvety darkness of the night. The dragons had vanished, their presence leaving behind a lingering sense of awe and wonder. Alara remained on the rooftop, her thoughts a whirlwind of excitement and trepidation. She knew that tonight was not just another evening, it was the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything she knew about reality and myth. The ancient library, with its weathered stone and towering shelves, seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. It was as if the very walls were alive with secrets, waiting for someone like Alara to unlock them. She took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. The notebook in her hands felt heavier now, its significance amplified by the events of the evening. In the quietude of the night, Alara made a decision. She would delve into the mysteries contained within the notebook, deciphering its ancient language and uncovering the truths that lay hidden. Her journey would take her through the annals of history, across the realms of myth and science, and into the heart of the unknown. With renewed determination, Alara stepped away from the edge of the rooftop, her mind already racing with plans and possibilities. The night was young, and the city of West End below seemed to pulse with a rhythm that matched the beat of her own heart. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but she was ready to face them. As she descended the steps of the library, the ancient structure seemed to welcome her back, its shadows and whispers a reminder of the countless stories it held. Alara was no longer just a scientist or a dreamer. She was an explorer on the brink of a grand adventure. The legends of old were calling to her, and she was ready to answer. In the hours that followed, as the city slept beneath a blanket of stars, Alara immersed herself in the mysteries of the notebook. The ancient language slowly began to yield its secrets, each revelation adding a new layer to the enigma she sought to unravel. The dragons in the sky were not merely symbols of myth, they were part of a grander design, a tapestry woven from the threads of time itself. Alara's quest had only just begun, but she felt an undeniable sense of purpose guiding her. The night sky, with its constellations and celestial wonders, seemed to echo with the promise of discovery. And as she continued her work, she knew that the journey ahead would be one of both peril and profound revelation. Driven by an insatiable curiosity and the thrill of a looming mystery, Alara embarked on a quest that would test the boundaries of her knowledge and beliefs. The ancient notebook, with its cryptic symbols and enigmatic messages, became her constant companion. Every day, she delved deeper into the forgotten language, her scientific mind grappling with the abstract concepts and mythic elements it presented. The days melted into weeks, each one a blend of intense study and relentless investigation. Her private study, once a sanctuary for calm reflection, had transformed into a war room of sorts. Books and manuscripts were strewn across her desk, their pages marked with notes and diagrams. A large whiteboard, covered in equations and translations, stood testament to her tireless efforts. Alara approached her work with the precision of a scientist and the imagination of a dreamer. She meticulously compared the symbols in the notebook with known ancient scripts and mythological references. The process was grueling, but each breakthrough, no matter how small, fueled her determination. As she uncovered more of the language, the messages began to form coherent fragments, hinting at an ancient truth that bridged the gap between science and mysticism. One evening, as the amber hues of dusk faded into the cool, indigo shades of night, Alara settled into her favorite armchair, a steaming cup of coffee cradled in her hands. Her study was dimly lit, the only illumination coming from her desk lamp and the soft glow of her laptop screen. She was momentarily lost in thought, savoring the quiet solitude, when her phone buzzed with a notification. The notification was from Miss Independent, a well-known Instagram influencer renowned for her motivational talks and updates on current events. Alara had followed Miss Independent for some time, intrigued by her unique blend of inspiration and insight. Tonight's post, however, was a startling surprise. The post was a video, and as Alara tapped on it, her eyes widened in disbelief. The video detailed the discovery of ancient symbols in a remote part of the world, symbols that bore an uncanny resemblance to those in her notebook. The footage showed a team of archaeologists carefully excavating a site, uncovering carvings on ancient stone tablets. The symbols, though weathered by time, were unmistakably similar to the ones Alara had been working to decode. Alara's heart raced as she watched the video, her mind racing to connect the dots. The coincidence was too precise to be dismissed as mere happenstance. The symbols had been discovered in a region known for its rich historical significance and deep cultural roots, an area that, according to her research, had long been rumored to be connected with lost civilizations and forgotten lore. She leaned forward, her fingers trembling slightly as she tapped on the screen to replay the segment of the video that showcased the symbols in detail. The more she scrutinized the images, the more certain she became that this discovery was intimately linked to her own quest. It was as if the universe had conspired to guide her to this pivotal moment. The urgency of the situation dawned on her. This was no ordinary discovery. It was a sign that her research had reached a critical juncture. The ancient symbols were not merely historical artifacts. They were keys to unlocking the profound truths she had been seeking. The remote location of the discovery added a layer of intrigue and challenge, one that Alara felt compelled to confront. Without hesitation, Alara sprang into action. She knew that if she wanted to make sense of this extraordinary coincidence, she would need to visit the site personally. There was no time to waste. She quickly gathered her notes, packed essential supplies, and made arrangements for travel. The journey would be arduous, but the prospect of unearthing new knowledge and connecting her research with real-world findings was a driving force she could not ignore. The next morning, Alara stood at the threshold of her study, her bags packed and her resolve steeled. The city of West End seemed to blur into the background as she embarked on her journey. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with potential dangers and challenges, but Alara felt a sense of exhilaration that outweighed her apprehension. As she boarded the plane bound for the remote region, Alara reflected on the journey that had led her to this point. Her scientific training had always emphasized the importance of empirical evidence and logical reasoning, yet her recent experiences had revealed that science was not solely about facts and figures. It was also about the pursuit of deeper truths, the balance between the measurable and the intangible. The flight was long and uneventful, but Alara's mind was abuzz with anticipation. She pored over her notes and the symbols from the notebook, her thoughts weaving together the threads of her research with the new information from the video. By the time the plane touched down, she was ready to dive into the heart of the mystery. Upon arrival, Alara was struck by the rugged beauty of the landscape. The remote area was characterized by vast stretches of untouched wilderness, with towering mountains and dense forests creating a dramatic backdrop. The excavation site, nestled in a valley surrounded by ancient rock formations, was a testament to the endurance and dedication of the archaeological team. Alara made her way to the site, guided by local experts and the field team. As she approached the excavation area, she was greeted by a scene of controlled chaos. Archaeologists and researchers meticulously documenting their findings, their tools and equipment scattered amidst the dust and debris. She introduced herself to the lead archaeologist, a seasoned professional with a deep knowledge of the region's history and culture. The archaeologist, intrigued by Alara's background and the connections she had made, agreed to give her a tour of the site and share the latest developments. As they walked among the excavation trenches, Alara's eyes were drawn to the newly uncovered stone tablets. The symbols etched into the surfaces were both familiar and enigmatic. She carefully examined the artifacts, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and reverence. The lead archaeologist explained that the symbols were part of a larger network of inscriptions found in various locations across the region. The discovery had the potential to rewrite the understanding of the area's ancient civilizations, revealing new insights into their culture, beliefs, and knowledge. Alara's mind raced as she connected the dots between the symbols in her notebook and the ones uncovered at the site. The parallels were striking, and she began to piece together a broader narrative that suggested a profound link between her research and the historical discoveries. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Alara worked closely with the archaeological team, collaborating on the translation and interpretation of the symbols. The process was arduous, but each breakthrough brought her closer to the core of the mystery. The ancient language began to reveal its secrets, hinting at a lost knowledge that bridged the gap between science and myth. As Alara immersed herself in the research, she also took time to explore the local surroundings. The landscape was both awe-inspiring and humbling, with ancient ruins and sacred sites scattered across the terrain. The experience deepened her appreciation for the rich cultural heritage of the region and the profound significance of the discoveries. With each passing day, Alara felt a growing sense of connection to the past and a renewed commitment to her quest. The symbols she had once studied in isolation were now part of a living, breathing narrative, a story that spanned centuries and cultures. As the excavation progressed, Alara knew that her journey was far from over. The discoveries made at the site were just the beginning of a larger exploration that would continue to challenge her understanding of the world. The balance between science and belief, the known and the unknown, was at the heart of her quest, and she was determined to uncover the truths that lay hidden within the ancient symbols. In the end, Alara's escape to science and discovery was more than just a physical journey. It was a voyage of the mind and spirit. The mysteries she uncovered would shape her understanding of the universe and her place within it, forging a new path in the pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment. Alara soon found herself boarding a flight to the west, heading toward a remote archaeological site. As the plane ascended, she looked down at the sprawling landscapes below, where cities gave way to mountains and forests. The weather was turbulent, almost symbolic of the inner turmoil she felt. Was she chasing a ghost, or was this the breakthrough she'd always sought? Upon landing, she was greeted by a team of international archaeologists and researchers, all abuzz with excitement about their find. Among them was Nicholas Michelson, a historian specializing in ancient civilizations and a man with whom Alara had a past. They hadn't spoken in years, not since their academic disagreements drove them apart. "Alara," Nicholas greeted her with a hesitant smile. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I couldn't stay away," she replied, "not after what I've discovered." They stood side by side, staring at the unearthed symbols carved into the stone. It was an ancient calendar, a time wheel of sorts, mapping not just seasons but entire epochs. At its center was a dragon, eerily similar to the ones Alara had seen in the sky over West End. The connection between myth and reality was becoming clearer. As they worked to unravel the secrets of the time wheel, Alara and Nicholas found themselves at odds once more. Nicholas was pragmatic, viewing the discovery as purely historical, while Alara believed it held the key to something far more powerful, the ability to influence time itself. "These symbols don't just tell a story," Alara insisted during one of their heated discussions. "They're a map, a guide to traveling through time." "You're letting your imagination get the best of you," Nicholas countered. "This is an incredible discovery, yes, but it doesn't mean we're on the verge of unlocking time travel." But Alara was undeterred. That night, while the others slept, she returned to the excavation site alone. Under the pale light of the moon, she traced the ancient carvings with her fingers, her mind racing with possibilities. Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled. A bright light engulfed the area, and in the blink of an eye, Alara was no longer in the present. Alara found herself standing at the precipice of a vast and unfamiliar landscape, where the boundaries of time seemed to dissolve into an ethereal blur. The ground beneath her feet felt both ancient and ever-changing, as though it was a living tapestry woven from the threads of history and possibility. The dragons she had once observed from afar were now an immediate and awe-inspiring presence, their immense, scaled bodies soaring majestically through the sky. They were not merely mythical creatures, but guardians of time itself. As she stood there, Alara was struck by the sheer grandeur of the scene. The dragons arched and spiraled through the air, their movements synchronized in a celestial dance that defied the conventional laws of physics. Their scales shimmered with a radiant light, casting hues of gold, silver, and emerald across the landscape. It was as if they were weaving a cosmic thread, stitching together the fabric of time. Alara's mind raced to comprehend the magnitude of what she had discovered. The gateway she had unlocked was not just a passage through different epochs, but a conduit to the essence of existence itself. She had stumbled upon the time wheel, a powerful artifact that granted its wielder the ability to traverse through time and witness the ebb and flow of history. But with this extraordinary power came an immense responsibility, a burden that weighed heavily upon her shoulders. Her first steps into this temporal realm were both exhilarating and disorienting. As she moved, the landscape shifted fluidly, transporting her from one era to another with each stride. One moment, she found herself amidst the bustling streets of ancient Mesopotamia, where the air was thick with the scent of spices and the sound of bartering merchants. The ziggurats loomed overhead, their towering forms a testament to the ingenuity of early civilizations. In the blink of an eye, Alara was catapulted into a distant future, where towering skyscrapers and lush green spaces coexisted in a harmonious blend of technology and nature. The cityscape was a marvel of futuristic design, with sleek, aerodynamic vehicles gliding silently through the air and verdant parks interspersed between shimmering high-rises. The people she encountered were dressed in elegant, functional attire, their lives intertwined with advanced technology that seamlessly integrated with the natural world. Despite the awe-inspiring vistas that unfolded before her, Alara was acutely aware of the gravity of her situation. The time wheel had granted her unparalleled access to the continuum of time, but she knew that meddling with this balance could have catastrophic repercussions. The dragon's race was not a mere spectacle of power, but a sacred duty, a means of preserving the equilibrium of time itself. As she ventured deeper into this realm, Alara began to discern the true purpose of the dragon's flight. Their movements were deliberate and calculated, each beat of their wings a testament to their role as time's protectors. They were guardians of the temporal balance, ensuring that the flow of history remained undisturbed and that the threads of existence remained intact. Alara's awareness of the dragon's role grew with each passing moment. She realized that any disruption to the balance they maintained could ripple through the ages, causing untold chaos and upheaval. The fabric of reality was delicate, and even the slightest alteration could have far-reaching consequences. She understood now that her journey was not just about exploration, but about safeguarding the integrity of the temporal continuum. As she observed the dragons, Alara began to see them as more than mere creatures of legend. They were embodiments of cosmic forces, their scales reflecting the light of distant stars, and their roars resonating with the echoes of forgotten epochs. Their race through the sky was a symbolic representation of the eternal struggle to maintain harmony in the face of change. Alara knew that her role in this grand tapestry was significant. The knowledge she had gained from the ancient symbols and the time wheel had prepared her for this moment, but she was acutely aware of the responsibility that came with it. She was entrusted with the power to traverse time, but she was also tasked with ensuring that her actions did not disrupt the delicate balance of existence. Her journey through the temporal realm was both a test and a revelation. She witnessed pivotal moments in history, from the rise and fall of empires to the dawn of new eras. She saw the struggles and triumphs of humanity, the achievements and failures that shaped the course of civilization. Each encounter was a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things, a testament to the intricate dance of cause and effect that defined the flow of time. In the midst of her exploration, Alara encountered a series of challenges that tested her resolve. She faced temporal anomalies, distortions in the fabric of reality that threatened to unravel the continuity of events. These anomalies manifested as chaotic bursts of energy, disrupting the natural order and causing ripples across the timeline. Alara's task was to navigate these disturbances, using her knowledge of the time wheel and her understanding of the dragon's role to restore balance. The challenges were formidable, but Alara's determination was unwavering. She drew upon her scientific expertise and her newfound insights into the nature of time to confront each anomaly. Her efforts were met with both success and setbacks, but with each victory, she gained a deeper appreciation for the complexity of the temporal realm. As she continued her journey, Alara formed a connection with the dragons, sensing their guidance and support. Their presence was both reassuring and humbling, a reminder of the vastness of the cosmos and the intricate web of existence that bound everything together. The dragons' flight became a source of inspiration, their unwavering commitment to their duty, a testament to the importance of maintaining harmony in the face of change. In the final stages of her journey, Alara faced a profound realization. The true purpose of her quest was not just to explore the temporal realm, but to become a guardian of the balance she had encountered. The knowledge she had gained and the experiences she had lived through were not merely for her own enlightenment, but for the preservation of the continuum of time. As the dragons completed their celestial race, Alara felt a sense of closure and fulfillment. She had witnessed the grandeur of the temporal realm, understood the significance of the dragon's role, and embraced her own responsibility as a steward of time. The time wheel had bestowed upon her a gift and a challenge, and she had risen to meet both with courage and wisdom. With a final glance at the dragons, Alara began her journey back to her own time. The landscape shifted once more, transitioning from the timeless realm to the familiar world of the West End. As she emerged from the gateway, she carried with her a profound sense of purpose and a deep understanding of the delicate balance that governed the flow of existence. Alara's adventure had transformed her in ways she could not have anticipated. She had ventured through the corridors of time, witnessed the grandeur of ancient civilizations and the promise of future possibilities, and embraced her role as a guardian of the temporal continuum. The dragon's race was a symbol of the eternal struggle to maintain harmony, and Alara had become a part of that grand narrative. As she returned to her everyday life, Alara knew that her journey was far from over. The lessons she had learned and the insights she had gained would continue to guide her as she navigated the complexities of her own time. The balance of existence was a fragile and precious thing, and she was determined to honor it with every step she took. In the quiet moments of reflection, Alara felt a deep sense of gratitude for the experiences she had lived through and the connections she had forged. The time wheel had given her the opportunity to explore the mysteries of time, and the dragons had shown her the true meaning of guardianship. As she looked toward the future, Alara was filled with a sense of hope and wonder, ready to embrace the challenges and possibilities that lay ahead. Back in the present, Nicholas and the rest of Alara's team were in a state of frantic panic. Hours had passed since they lost contact with her, and they had no idea where she could have gone. The last message from her had been brief, cryptic, something about the time wheel and an urgent discovery that she couldn't explain over the phone. Then, nothing. Her radio silence had grown more troubling as time wore on. The archaeological site was abuzz with activity, but an uneasy tension hung in the air. The excavation had reached a critical point, and strange things had started to happen. Nicholas had heard rumors from the local guides, whispers of ancient spirits, bizarre temporal anomalies, and sightings of strange lights in the sky. Many dismissed these as mere superstitions, but after Alara's sudden disappearance, Nicholas wasn't so sure. The expedition had initially been about ancient symbols and lost civilizations, but it was becoming clear that something much more profound and potentially dangerous was at stake. Nicholas led the team, combing through the dig site, searching for any sign of Alara. They explored every inch of the valley where they had last seen her. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the ruins, and time was running out. Then, just as darkness was about to envelop the camp, one of the search parties stumbled upon her. She was lying in the middle of a clearing, Roche, unconscious but otherwise unharmed, her body illuminated by the soft glow of the rising moon. Around her, the ground seemed disturbed, as though something massive had moved through the area, yet there were no footprints or signs of struggle. It was as if the earth itself had shifted in her presence. Nicholas rushed to her side, his heart pounding with relief. He knelt down and gently shook her shoulder. "Alara, can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open slowly, dazed and unfocused at first. She blinked several times, her gaze shifting between Nicholas and the team gathered around her. For a brief moment, it was as though she didn't recognize them, as though she were still somewhere else, somewhere far away. But then reality snapped back into focus. "Nicholas," she croaked, her voice hoarse from the strain of her journey. I'm back." "You scared us," Nicholas said, helping her sit up. "What happened? Where did you go?" Alara hesitated, her mind still racing to process everything she had experienced. She had seen so much, the past, the future, and everything in between. She had traveled through time itself, witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, and come face to face with the dragons that guarded the balance of existence. She had touched the very fabric of reality, felt the weight of centuries pass in an instant. How could she possibly explain that to Nicholas? "To anyone. I don't know where to begin," she said softly, her voice filled with awe and uncertainty. Nicholas looked at her, his brow furrowed in concern. "You've been gone for hours. What do you mean you don't know where to begin? What did you find out there?" Alara took a deep breath and closed her eyes for a moment, centering herself. She could still feel the remnants of her journey vibrating in her mind, the echoes of ancient voices whispering to her from the depths of time. The time wheel had shown her things that no human was meant to see, had granted her knowledge that could reshape the course of history if it were ever revealed. "I found something," she finally said, her voice steady but cautious. "Something that changes everything. But I'm not sure it's something I can share. Not yet." Nicholas glanced at the rest of the team, who were still standing a few feet away, watching them intently. He motioned for them to give Alara some space, then turned back to her with a more serious expression. "What do you mean? Alara, we've been working on this for months. We came all this way, and now you're telling me that you can't share what you found. Why?" Alara looked into his eyes, seeing the concern and confusion there, but also the unspoken trust. She knew that Nicholas, more than anyone else, would understand the magnitude of her dilemma. He had always been the pragmatist, the one who balanced her curiosity with caution. He would want answers, but he would also know when to stop asking questions. "I saw things," she said slowly, choosing her words carefully. "Things that don't belong in our world. Not yet, anyway. There are forces at play here that we don't fully understand, forces that protect the balance of time itself." "The dragons?" Nicholas asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. "You think they're real?" Alara smiled faintly. "They're more real than we ever imagined. They're not just symbols and myths, Nicholas. They're the guardians of time, the keepers of temporal balance. I've seen them up close. I've traveled through time." Nicholas stared at her, his eyes wide with shock. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. How could he respond to that? How could he reconcile the woman standing before him with the rational scientist he had known for years? Alara was brilliant, no doubt, but this was something else entirely. Time travel? Dragons? It sounded impossible, and yet the look in her eyes told him that she believed every word. "Alara," he finally said, his voice low and urgent, "you've got to tell us everything. This is huge. Do you realize what this could mean? For science, for history, for everything?" Alara nodded slowly. "I do. That's why I'm not sure I can tell you, at least not yet." Nicholas frowned, his frustration evident. "What do you mean, not yet? If you've discovered something that monumental, we can't just sit on it. The world deserves to know." Alara lowered her gaze, her mind swirling with the weight of the decision she faced. Nicholas was right, of course. What she had seen, what she had experienced, could change everything. It could rewrite the history books, upend scientific understanding, and open up possibilities that humanity had only dreamed of. But that was precisely the problem. She had seen the future, and it was beautiful in its harmony. A world where technology and nature existed in perfect balance, where humanity had learned to coexist with the forces of the universe rather than exploit them. But she had also seen the potential for chaos. If the knowledge of the time wheel and the dragons were released into the world too soon, it could lead to disaster. People would misuse it, governments would weaponize it, and the delicate balance of time could unravel, with catastrophic consequences. The dragons weren't just racing for sport, they were racing to maintain that balance, to keep the past, present, and future in harmony. If humanity interfered, if they sought to control time itself, the repercussions could be dire. "I saw what could happen if this knowledge falls into the wrong hands," Alara said quietly, her voice filled with a deep, unshakable conviction. "Time isn't something we can control, Nicholas. It's not a tool or a resource. It's alive, in a way. And if we disrupt its balance, we could destroy everything." Nicholas stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. He had always trusted Alara's judgment, but this was something far beyond the realm of their usual work. He could see the strain on her face, the exhaustion in her eyes, and he knew that she had been through something unimaginable. "So what do we do?" he asked softly. "Do we just keep this to ourselves?" Alara hesitated. That was the question, wasn't it? To share or not to share? She knew that by keeping her discovery secret, she was protecting the world from potential disaster. But she was also withholding a truth that could elevate humanity to new heights, a truth that could unlock the mysteries of time and space, that could unite science and myth in ways that had never been imagined. It was a decision that weighed heavily on her. She had always been a seeker of knowledge, a believer in the power of discovery. But now, for the first time, she found herself questioning the value of revelation. Sometimes, she realized, the greatest act of wisdom was knowing when not to share what one had learned. "I don't know yet," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I do know this. Whatever we decide, it has to be for the right reasons, not for fame or glory or even scientific progress. It has to be for the good of the world, for the balance of everything." Nicholas nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of her words. "We'll figure it out together," he said, offering her a reassuring smile. "Whatever happens, we'll make sure it's the right choice." Alara returned his smile, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. She didn't have to make this decision alone. She had Nicholas and the rest of the team, and together they would find a way to navigate the delicate path ahead. As the night deepened and the stars began to twinkle in the sky above, Alara looked up, searching for the dragons. She knew they were out there, racing through the heavens, unseen but ever present, guarding the flow of time. She could feel their presence, a subtle hum in the air, a reminder of the delicate balance they maintained. For now, the world would continue as it always had, unaware of the ancient forces that shaped its destiny. And Alara, armed with her newfound knowledge, would continue her journey, both as a scientist and as a guardian of time's greatest secret. In the end, Alara chose silence. The time wheel was buried once more, its secrets hidden from those who would seek to exploit it. But as she returned to her life, she knew that she had been changed forever. The dragons still raced in the sky, and every so often, when the seasons changed, she would catch a glimpse of them, a reminder that time is not linear, but a cycle, and that sometimes the greatest discoveries are the ones we choose to keep to ourselves.